Good evening to everyone in the SectorSurfer Users Group meeting. Joe asked if I'd put together a little something for the meeting. While I don't have anything particularly substantial at the moment, here's something that's a little bit interesting perhaps. We're going to take a look under the hood by going to the remote desktop of the Some Growth Strategies server and see what goes on over there. Mind you, the screen will be a little bit slow in response because it is a remotely viewed desktop. Our server is somewhere out there in the ether. We don't know where, but it's there. This is the desktop of the Some Growth Strategies server somewhere out in the cloud, hosted by GoDaddy. In addition to the web server and database running in the background, we have a control panel that we developed, which you see on the screen here. In a separate window, I'm going to import a strategy. As I click it, this window goes black and white. As I import it, you see it added to the list. Now when I click the chart icon, you'll see it rendered and shipped off to my browser. Charts are now made on demand, whereas previously, when a strategy was processed, 6 different charts were made all at one time, even though nobody looked at hardly any of them. At about 9 o'clock at night, a number of utility applications run. Here you see the Hall of Fame strategies being processed. You see there are tabs for widely held, mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, ultra-inverse, safe surfing, and a summary. We've now moved on to the mutual funds. We will time-lapse this. It is this application that creates all of the HTML for all of the tables for all of the Hall of Fame strategies. It is inspecting every single strategy that anyone makes and categorizing it, checking it for validity, checking to see if it's an active strategy, and creating the tables accordingly. We're now processing the safe surfing category. It's the most time-consuming and complex to sort through. We're nearly done now. Now we're racing through the stock screener software, where it's categorizing and doing all the computations for all of the columns in the stock screener. It also takes 4 or 5 minutes to process. And there's another chart made by a user. Coming near the end of the screener, next we have a utility that deletes old files to keep the hard drive nice and clear. We want to keep the hard drive nice and clean so there aren't too many files to wade between, and we can speed processing along in things that we really care about. Next, we make the fast track fund list. There are approximately 14,500 ticker symbols. The algorithm assembles a list from the fast track database and from other symbols that you may have requested that we get from a secondary data source. This list is then read by the control panel application into the server database and enables you to pick these symbols from the Find a Fund list. And finally, we're just about done creating our fund list. It's just about 9:30, at which time night processing starts. As you see, some applications popping up here. We had an update of fast track data, nothing to update this evening. In the lower left, there are some symbols that are retrieved from Yahoo for later usage. And you see charts being rendered now. All of the Some Growth sponsored strategies that show up on the web pages are rendered every evening. The strategies that we each make in our own accounts are not rendered until sometime when we click the chart icon. The processing of our Some Growth Strategies charts goes on for approximately 10 minutes. At that point, it looks quiet. because no charts are rendered, but yet it goes on for maybe about 50 minutes further, just doing all the calculations in the background. So that's our show for tonight. Next time, something a little more substantial. Maybe some things you've been looking for. Until then.